Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to try and give you another view of the golf swing and a different impression of the relationship between where the club head is, where your hands are and where your body is during the golf swing. I've talked about this a lot of times on the channel, but basically trying to keep the club in front of you is imperative to keep the club on plane in a golf swing. Unfortunately, the picture that you're getting from your eyes when you're making a golf swing leads you to the feeling that you should be swinging the club around yourself. We also talk about this great big carousel which is moving around your body. But in truth, the fact is that the club is actually moving more in front of your body than around your body. And you've got to get that feeling for keeping the club out ahead of you. It all begins really in the address position with the shaft plane, or the angle that the shaft has originally when it's actually standing at the ground behind the golf ball. And the trick is to basically hold that angle by keeping pressure on the grip as you take it back. Now, if you look at that from the front view here, you can actually see how the circle is working that I'm turning around. In the center, the chest and the shoulders are rotating. Further out away from the axis, the hands and arms are rotating around that central axis, and even further out is the golf club. Now, if I were to keep my arms straight and not use my wrists in the golf swing, that would probably be easier to understand at what point the golf club would actually disappear behind your line of sight. But when we start hinging the trail, elbow and wrist, things get a little bit more complicated. As soon as you start to hinge your wrist, the lead wrist is really pushing down and making the club head come up. The trail wrist is pulling back along with the trail elbow and bringing the club back behind you. Now, what's actually happened now is that you have left your arms and hands have left the center of your chest and you've pulled them back across your body. Now, this obviously explains that when you then go into the rotation to the target, you are going to have to get your chest to open to the target in order to get the club back to the ball, because it's simply not back at the center of your chest. If, again, with straight arms, turn your chest back where it started before and you're on the golf ball. With a hinged right or the trail arm and wrist, you're going to have to turn a long way further in order to get the club back onto the ball. Now, obviously, you will release these angles before you get back onto the ball, really getting them back to the center of the chest, maybe kind of a yard or so after the golf ball. But from the forward camera, I just wanted to show you how early that the club is actually getting outside the hands relative to the target line. And this is one of the things which is very difficult to understand, especially when you're thinking about, okay, I want to be swinging from the inside on the golf ball. The trick is to basically imagine a line here, the ball to target line here, going basically left from the camera. And what I'm trying to do is get the club to be pulled around by my arms and hands as I come down, not releasing this trail arm too early, not releasing the trail wrist too early, and due to the rotation of the body, pull it round. But you can see here that the club is now outside of my hands. So it actually looks for me visually as if it's outside the line. You can see, however, it has not crossed the ball to target line. So it's still coming from the inside back to the ball. And this is the kind of picture you've got to get as you come through the ball. Your chest rotated towards the target, your hands behind your chest but still well ahead of the club face and the club head, and you're pulling that around and around your body, but the club head is still out in front of you. And this is really one of the things which I think causes the biggest problems for hobby golfers, is this visual image of kind of pulling the club behind them and pushing it out towards kind of that 2 o'clock position, rather than keeping the club in front of them, allowing it to, at least on this perspective, overtake the hand, get outside of the hand, and come more from behind the ball into the back of the ball. You see how the chest and hips are opening up towards the target, and this is making it easy for me to actually deliver the golf ball square into the back of the golf ball. It also makes it far easier to stay over the golf ball. It's win-win. When I get the club behind me, this lead shoulder's coming up, I'm tilting back, I'm blocking myself, I'm leaving myself open for chicken wings, flipping it, and all kinds of stuff. So it's one of the things, I think even Rory talks about, one of the main things he's talking about when he takes the club back, is the feeling of the club being out in front of him. And again, you can see, although it's out in front of his hands, it's not over the ball to target line. And the same thing as he comes down. The club is actually going to be outside of your hands and still inside the ball to target line. I hope that you can pick that up on the video. I think it's a very important visual perception that you have to have in order to stop yourself getting too much from the inside, getting too tilted into the golf ball. And this is where an awful lot of these kind of fat balls come from, where you're hitting the ground before the ball, topping the ball, you're flipping the ball or the club and getting these kind of hooky shots or blocking them out to the right. And it's all really because your perspective is wrong. You haven't got the right kind of picture, and while you're not picturing the golf swing correctly, you're not practicing it correctly either. Hope this is a tip that helps you. If it is, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to become a patron, I shall leave a tip below. Big thanks to everybody who's supporting the channel so far this season. Until the next time.